Just a short distance from State Route 9 in Utah, tucked between LaVerkin and Hurricane, Utah. This is down on the bottom of a rocky gorge. Confluence Park combines pioneer history, old abandoned buildings, and, of course, Native American history. Come along with us and join the adventure.
Welcome everyone to Weekend Escapades. Today we are at Confluence Park in Utah at the overlook. Behind us you're going to find some placards, and that's going to share with us where we're going to go on our adventure through that beautiful canyon behind us with some abandoned buildings and some old pioneer history and, of course, Native American history. But right alongside me are pomegranates. Now, I've never seen pomegranates just kind of growing in the wild. So this is Confluence Park. It has a tremendous amount of history. You can see an old farm down below. And of course, the confluence where three bodies of water run together. So Confluence Park, this is the trail map. The early inhabitants of this park saw it as home as a rite of passage, a resource for hunting wildlife and an opportunity to sustain life beyond the canyon rim. So what we're looking at on this placard is, of course, Confluence Park trail map. But right here, you can see the Virgin River that runs out and around, and that's going to run all the way down to Arizona. And then LaVerkin Creek and Ash Creek. And here is the confluence where they all meet. And that confluence is right there. So this Virgin River goes around, this being Ash Creek and LaVerkin Creek. Through the last 100 years, Confluence Canyon hosted a rudimentary power plant, pecan orchard, fields of pasture and alfalfa, a dairy farm, and multiple crops and fields. And we're going to go explore all of those that are down below us. So come along on that adventure. And some horsebackers go down and enjoy the hike as well. We have made it to our next destination. This is Confluence Park. Now this is just a few miles away from Leeds. So Leeds being on the 15, the highway. This is right around Tokerville, Utah. And so confluence, meaning three bodies of water running together. As you can see how green it is next to me over here, we're along that one of the bodies of water. And that's why there's a lot of Native American history and farming right here alongside this creek. So we're going to share this area with you and a few abandoned locations that are down here next to the water as well. But this is the water, or the creek, that runs right along the pathway. You can see here where the creek runs out by the trees and the greenery. This is a good example of farmland that was down here. So the water running, of course, right out here, and the confluence really consists right out here where all three run together. But this, when it wasn't flooding, would have all been grassland and farming. You can see cows grazing off in the distance, possibly. They are way over there. So there it is, the sign welcoming us to Confluence Park, a special place. We're coming up on one of the abandoned houses, or part of a ranch that was here. But right here in the middle of a field, that looks like a fairly new John Deere for sure. So somebody's probably getting ready to do some farming, and all this grass and grass hay they're growing out here. Now this location here is an abandoned cattle dairy location, and you can see the cement and things here where they used to feed the cattle, and a lot of, metal cages and so forth. But the abandoned old home that's over there as well, and that's a fairly old home, fairly old ranch, not necessarily occupied, but they did the ranching out here in later years. But we're going to go and explore that abandoned home. So you can see the feeding trough, assuming that's what it is. But I always thought the cows would stick their head through here and feed out of here. Well, that's probably it before the road was there. So you would drop the feed here and here, drive in and do that, and then the cows would stick their heads through there and eat. I'm assuming that's it. That's what it looks like to me. It was a fairly big operation that was down here, but now it's just abandoned. Look at the state of that house over there. Wow. Can't wait to go in there. One thing about Utah, ghost towns, you just see so much. As far as ants, they're just everywhere. Everywhere. You got to watch your step. I feel bad walking, but it's hard to miss them. Okay, so let's go explore this amazing old building. And the roof, stones have been thrown up there. That was a tile roof they put on, more, you know, more modern day, but the home itself has been here for quite some time. There's a lot of graffiti in here. I apologize if there's anything in here that looks inappropriate, but they might have used this for not just people living in, but you see here, looks like they might have been doing some feed in here. Maybe this was, but it was a home originally, what I was told. Really something. What is it with people and the need to graffiti everything? I understand the building deteriorating, but everybody's got a story to write, and that makes me think that people just come in here and make this a hangout. Kind of an interesting spot here. Look at that little step up and a door going through the wall. There was electricity that was run in here at one point, but everybody's got something to say. They must be pretty proud of their ideas to be able to paint them and write them and sketch them on everything and destroy property. Very interesting concept. Again, I can't read it all, so if there's something inappropriate, I apologize. And there probably is, but still, an amazing old building. So continuing up this trail, you can see all the volcanic rock. Look at this giant overhang cliff. And look at what's on top of it. Literally, they allowed somebody to build, if there's a giant house up there. But that house is literally hanging over on the edge, probably further than what the bottom of that overhang is. I'll tell you, that doesn't even look safe. I wouldn't even want to walk up there, let alone build a house on it. Pretty nice house. So funny, these rock formations, they almost look man-made, the way like they would be stacked or something. They look like walls. And they've just fallen off that cliff up there, I'm sure. But even that one, they look like walls that were made. You can see they're just kind of standing up almost like a thick wall would be. And even that formation, and behind it over here, look at that cliff. Oh my gosh. And we're gonna go up under there. There's a giant cave where the Native Americans, of course, used to camp and live underneath that ledge. You can see some of this has fallen. It looks kind of fairly recent. It's laying on the ground. And all these giant formation. Again, it looks like they're almost man-made, but they're not. People paint little rocks. That one says Gavin on it. That one looks like a little pig. Cody. They go on these hikes, they paint rocks and leave them around the trail. Well, we're gonna go under right there and hope that nothing falls, because there's an area where Native Americans used to live. All right, cutting through the brush, some stone. Whoa! To get to the top, you gotta watch your step. Little loose rock going here. Look at that. You can see how loose that is. That does not look safe. That literally looks like it could fall right out of there. Oh, man. But a good place to get out of the weather for sure. As long as the weather didn't run in on you and flood the place out. It's a big cave. And I think that could go at any time. When you see the separations in that rock, that means a little bit of water or vibration away from all that falling down. You can see where it's been falling down right here. I think I'm gonna walk away, as it's hanging right over the top of me. I'm literally under it. A lot of cactus, just all of a sudden there's this giant cactus patch. If anybody knows what kind of cactus this is exactly, let me know. Another little lizard right down there, you see him? I heard those little pears on there are edible. Some of these look like they're in color, and then others up here obviously are a different color. Maybe they're not ripe or ready, or I don't know how that works with cactus. It looks like a different type of cactus as well, because that's kind of round like Mickey Mouse ears, and then these are like swords. If anybody knows what kind of cactuses these are, let me know in the comments. It goes all the way up the canyon. Now this is a really interesting area. There's a place right over here we're going to walk in between these rocks. People go in there and build fires and things, kind of camp out. It's just kind of buried in over here. I think this held feed. And because they said there was turkeys in here, and I think this is part of the old turkey farm, being that this is where they would put feed and things in here. Let's see if we can see what's going on in there. But this is a fairly old piece of farming history that's here on the property. I wouldn't trust that ladder for sure. There we go. A look in some kind of a storage for a ranch that was here. But again, I think this is part of the old turkey farm here on the property. You can see back in here, these might have been cages the way they're built. So maybe these were old cages for the animals that were here. Right next to this structure. That's pretty strong, putting those together like this. Like a 2x6. That is very thick. So there's where the that structure is. That we were just at, where the turkey cages are over there. Through here. Now this is overgrown. We were here last time, and you could get in here pretty easy. But we're kind of going to duck into and under these bushes. You can see the trail right along these cliffs, and get in here. Some scratchy bushes and a lot of thorns. Gotta duck down to get under all this. Well, look at this low branch. Oh, goodness. Gotta do the limbo to get in here. There we go. Well, it looks like a fire pit, but it looks modern day. Like maybe this was something else. I wonder what they use this for. They might use this to, it looks like something that would, you put something in the middle and grind something up with it. But the middle kind of looks like it would be a fire pit, but look at that. If anybody has any idea what they think that might be. It almost looks like one of the things that you would grind feed or stone with, corn. It looks too modern. Interesting. Just walkway that goes under here, like a little cave. Look at the way the rocks are separated. You could go all the way through there, this crack in the rocks. Well, I bet people have gone in. You could go in there, shimmy your way in there, but man, I'll tell you, I'd get a little bit claustrophobic going in there and up in that one. But these rocks have just separated. See how that goes back in there? Good stuff. The sunlight's getting in. There we go. I blocked it with my hand. As you can see, this is one of them where it's cracked, and you can, there's where that is, the fire pit thing. And then right through here, you can walk on through this semi-cave. You can see where it's come together there and stopping it from falling over. And then it just turns into this pathway. It's fun to explore this kind of stuff. It changes every time you come out here. I've never been left on this path. Let's see where it goes up here. Maybe something's hidden back here that we don't know about. Obviously there's some big pieces of wood there. Maybe there was a structure. But this is going to go back behind more rock. And I see some cactus back here as well. There's definitely a reason people walk back here, whether it's just because it's rural. More cactus. A lot of large rocks. I think this is just going to come back out and double back to the trail. Here we go. Maybe this is just a place where people hang out. You can see they've kind of made some lean-to here. Some old fiberglass sheeting. So they probably just use this as like a little fort or hideout to come out here and hang out. Probably the same people that are putting the graffiti on that building. Good time. So nothing found on that trail except for that little lean-to-ish piece there that was between the rocks. Somebody's little hideout. We're gonna head back down to the normal trail because pretty boring up here. There's just a lot of dirt and some rock to trip on like I just did. So let's go down to the main trail and head up to the abandoned old powerhouse. An old hydro powerhouse. These old power poles are in here about every 100 feet. And they're probably power poles. I was thinking maybe they were like telegraph lines. They almost look like it, but I don't think so. But these trees, if I'm not mistaken, there's a history behind them. Here we go, old cattle watering trough. Because they used to have some cattle out here as well, but I think what they did was when they turned this into a walking area, they just left a lot of the stuff here, and they don't allow them to have cattle in here anymore. But the old trough still remains, and these are probably from keeping squirrels to climb up the tree, I imagine. Old cut down trees and stumps always make for interesting photos. There's plenty of them out here. There's the old powerhouse we're heading to. Okay, here's the powerhouse. Now, last time we were here, you couldn't get in it. It's got all the old barred windows. And this is a 1929 power plant. So this was basically a hydro plant. You can see the big pipe coming off the hill where the water used to run through. And you can see all the operation on the inside. This is a unique power plant that's now under renovation. It will not produce electricity again, but it will be shored up where it needs, and holes will be patched because they're going to keep this as part of the history here. It's a really big older building, and we'll share with you what's inside. Jump off here, down the stairs, and look at that. Inside of an old power plant. See, the water used to go in there, run down through there and back out here and back down to the creek. The office back there where probably the foreman of the power plant used to be. You can see the pipe on the ground where the water came through, and a tremendous amount of chicken wire stored in there. There's a second story, and I don't know if we can film the second story. There's definitely some holes in the floor where that second story is. And that looks like a crane that used to run to and from up there on the runners, and that would run back and forth that direction, probably to be able to move the parts and change things out in there. Back through the bars. You can see part of the electricity or operation where the electrical part would be, like some insulators and things, and the way this old piece is put together. I find these old buildings fascinating. The water's just right there running. You can see underneath here, that's where it would have came out. Right down there is a hole. I'll see if I can get down there. And all the windows and well, I'll tell you, it's a tough trek getting in here. It's all full of bushes. Whew. Can't see the ground. I hope there's no snakes. That's where people are getting in right there. And that's inside where the water used to come through. Hopefully you can see that. I haven't been down here before. I'm glad I could get down here. This is the back side of the building where it would have ran right into the river. Sheesh. All right, I'm all along the back side of the building. Coming out the other side. Oh, look at this. Open window. Kind of the office right there. And the other side of the operation. Well, I'm not getting out here. I've got to head back. See the creek down there? Running with a great addition. There's Lisa. Down by the river. This is right next to it. You can see where all the wires probably ran into here, and the insulators that are up there. With this was the little power plant, and all these fins on here. I have no idea what I'm looking at. All this tin and the insulators. I know that like a substation kind of a thing where the wires come in and insulators. So probably 3 areas where the wires came down and then left from here to go power the town, which really up on that cliff is where it was, the same place the water came from that pipe that you see right there is where the water ran from to go right in to the plant. Right there. That's the second story there. You can see the roof is finally given up. Attic space up there as well. I'll zoom out and you can see what I'm looking at from where I'm at. Pretty nice old building. Needs a roof. This is kind of above it. Looking in. That's the sound of the camera hitting wire. You can see there's a big wheel, turbine wheel, right there. Would that be copper and then it generated electricity when it turned? Like a generator kind of a deal? Probably. Here we go. So this window, the bars are gone on one side, which is too bad. Hopefully nobody's going to try and drop in there. Now you can see where that would turn on that housing. And that would be like the wheel that generated. But of course the water turning it inside that housing. And of course Derek was here. Says so right there. Nice to know. Love old buildings. So this area at one time had olive trees, and I guess what happened is they say there might still be a few around here. They said they got diseased, but they were growing a lot of olive trees in the area. But these trees fascinate me. I'm not real big on different species of trees, but this one, maybe some of you can tell me what they are. As they, of course, they're protecting them. They've got it from like squirrels climbing up the tree and getting in there. I'm gonna go over here. Giant old watering trough for cattle. So this one's a little different in the leaves on it. Don't know what that is. I don't see any fruit or nuts or whatever bearing fruit here or whatever on this tree. Oh wait, there's 2. Right here. What is that? What kind of a nut or fruit would that be? Another version of it there. And they kind of grow in clusters. Well, those are one at a time. I'm gonna get a little closer to this one over here. It's got a lot more towards the bottom. Almost looks like the size of what a pecan would be. Let me know if you know. A lot of things to find out on this video, as I'm just here exploring. And again, I don't know much about trees or fruit trees or nut trees, things like that. Let's see if we can get more. Here we go. Look at that. What is that? Obviously they're still green. That looks like some kind of a nut to me. But I did hear stories that there were olive trees here and they had to remove them because they were diseased. But there's more of these trees over there as well. Well, that is going to do it for today in our little exploration here to the old powerhouse. It's quite a walk, and it's a beautiful sunny day, mild temperatures. We hope you enjoyed the adventure. And if you would like and subscribe, as it helps keep the channel strong. It's just growing all the time and we love doing it. We hope you love the content. And until our next adventure, goodbye from Weekend Escapades, and we'll see you in the next one. Just had to share this. I'm always fascinated by it. Look at that old root system. Fell out of the ground. And that tree, how old must that be?